They always treated my sister like she was everything. She got the car, the attention, the love, and me, I got nothing. I still remember the day my parents laughed and said, "You'll never be as successful as her." But what they didn't know was that I had been building something in silence. And the day they found out, everything changed. Backhand index pointing right. What would you do if your own family treated you like you didn't matter? Let's start the story. I grew up in a house where love wasn't equal. It was earned, and somehow I never qualified. My sister was everything to my parents. She got the best room, the best gifts, the best attention, and I got whatever was left. I still remember her 16th birthday like it was yesterday. A brand new car sat in the driveway, wrapped in a giant red bow. My parents were smiling, proud, like they had just changed her life. And me? I stood there quietly, holding a cheap watch they gave me 3 months late for my own birthday. That was the moment I realized something. This wasn't favoritism anymore, this was a message. I didn't matter. But what hurt the most wasn't the gifts. It was the way they looked at me, like I was already a failure. Like no matter what I did, I would never be enough. And maybe they were right, because at that time, I had nothing. No money, no support, no one who believed in me. But what they didn't know was that I had already started something. Something small, something risky, something that would one day change everything. Things didn't get better as we grew older. If anything, they got worse. Every family dinner felt like a quiet competition I was never meant to win. My sister would talk about her life, her new job, her plans, her success, and my parents would sit there, smiling like she was proof they had done everything right. Then all eyes would slowly turn to me. "So, what are you doing these days?" My dad would ask, already sounding disappointed. I tried to explain, tell them I was working on something, building something online, figuring things out. But before I could even finish, my sister would smirk. "Oh, please," she'd laugh, shaking her head. "He's still trying to become something. He just doesn't know what." And just like that, the whole table would laugh. Even my mom. That laugh, it wasn't loud, but it hit harder than anything, because it told me one thing clearly: they had already given up on me. From that day on, I stopped explaining, stopped defending myself. I just nodded, stayed quiet, and let them believe whatever they wanted. Because the truth was, while they were laughing at me, I was quietly working every single night, learning, failing, starting again. And little by little, something started to grow. First, it didn't look like much, just me, sitting in a small room, late at night, staring at a screen while everyone else in the house was asleep. No support, no guidance, no one asking how it was going. But that was the point, because for the first time in my life, no one was watching me fail, so I kept going. I learned things no one taught me, made mistakes no one saw, lost money I couldn't afford to lose, and still came back the next night. Again and again. Weeks turned into months, and slowly something started to change. It wasn't big enough for anyone else to notice, but I noticed. The numbers were moving, small at first, then a little faster. For the first time, I wasn't stuck anymore. I was building something real, but I didn't tell anyone. Not my parents, not my sister, because I had learned something important. The moment you tell people too early, they don't believe you. And when they don't believe you, they try to remind you why you shouldn't believe in yourself either. So I stayed quiet. Let them think I was still lost, still behind, still nothing. Because I knew, the day they found out the truth, it wouldn't be a conversation. It would be a moment. It happened on a night that was supposed to be just another family dinner. Nothing special. Same table, same people, but the energy felt different. My sister walked in smiling, louder than usual, holding her phone like she had been waiting all day to show something. "I got promoted," she said, almost announcing it. My parents lit up immediately. My mom stood up to hug her. My dad started asking questions, proud, impressed, like this was the moment they had always expected. Then came the comparisons. "They're really moving forward in life," my dad said, glancing at me. Some people just don't have that drive. There it was again. That same tone. That same message. And right on time, my sister added, "Not everyone is meant to succeed." The table went quiet for a second. Then came that familiar laughter. But this time, I didn't look down. I didn't stay quiet. Because something inside me had changed. I reached into my pocket slowly, pulled out my phone, and placed it on the table. The screen was already open. Numbers visible. Real numbers. And as the light from the screen reflected on their faces, the laughter stopped. For a moment, no one said anything. They just stared at the screen. My sister leaned forward first, her smile slowly disappearing as she tried to understand what she was looking at. That's not real," she said almost instantly. But her voice wasn't confident anymore. My dad picked up the phone, his eyes scanning the numbers like he was trying to find a mistake. Something that would prove this wasn't true. But there wasn't one. Everything was there. Months of work. Results they had never seen. Real money. More than anything they had ever given me, combined. My mom looked at me differently now. Not proud. Not even happy. Just confused. Like she didn't recognize the person sitting in front of her anymore. And my sister? She sat back slowly, completely silent. No jokes. No smirks. Because for the first time in her life, she wasn't ahead. And for the first time in mine, I wasn't behind. The roles had flipped. Quietly. Completely. And no one in that room knew how to handle it. The silence didn't last long. My dad cleared his throat first, placing the phone back on the table like it suddenly weighed too much. "Well, that's impressive," he said, trying to sound calm, like this was something he had expected all along. But his tone had changed. It wasn't judgment anymore. It was caution. My mom leaned in next, her voice softer than usual. "Why didn't you tell us?" she asked. Not angry, not even surprised, just careful, like she was trying to figure out where she stood now. I looked at her for a second, then said nothing, because the answer was simple. They never asked. My sister finally spoke, forcing a small laugh that didn't feel real anymore. "Okay, but this doesn't change anything," she said. "We're still family." There it was again. That word. Family. It only showed up when it benefited them. My dad nodded slowly. "We should sit down, talk about this properly," he added. "Plan things. Make smart decisions together." Together. That word sounded different now. Because a few minutes ago, I wasn't even part of their plans. And now suddenly, I was the plan. I leaned back in my chair and looked at all of them. For the first time, I wasn't trying to prove anything. I wasn't trying to be accepted. I was just observing. Because now I could finally see it clearly. They didn't believe in me when I had nothing. But the moment I had something, they didn't want to lose me. I let them talk for a moment. Plans, ideas, suggestions about what I should do next. It almost sounded like they had always been part of this. Like they had always believed in me. But we all knew the truth. I leaned forward slightly and said, calm and clear, "Funny how things change." That stopped them. My dad looked at me, waiting. My mom stayed quiet. My sister didn't say a word. I continued, "A few months ago, I couldn't even finish a sentence at this table without being laughed at. No one denied it. No one could. I didn't stop talking because I had nothing to say. I paused just enough for it to land. I stopped because no one here was listening. The room felt heavier now. Real. Uncomfortable. Then I said the one thing that changed everything again. "I'm not angry." They looked surprised. Relieved, even. But that didn't last long. Because anger means I still expect something from you. I leaned back slightly, keeping my voice steady. "I don't." And in that moment, they finally understood. This wasn't about proving them wrong anymore. It was about no longer needing them to be right. The power wasn't in the money. It was in the fact that I had built something without them. And now, I didn't need them at all. No one tried to stop me when I stood up. No one had anything left to say. Because deep down, they already knew. This wasn't something they could fix with words. Not this time. I picked up my phone, looked at them one last time, and for a moment, everything felt clear. All those years of trying to be enough, all those nights of proving myself, all those moments where I thought maybe one day they'd finally see me differently, they didn't matter anymore, because I had already become someone they couldn't ignore, just not in the way they expected. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't need to. Some relationships don't end with a fight. They end with understanding. And as I walked out of that house, I realized something simple. They didn't lose me because I changed. They lost me because they never valued me when they had me. And now, it was too late, because for the first time in my life, I wasn't walking away empty. I was walking away free. So tell me, if you were in my place, would you forgive them or leave everything behind for good?